Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the science fiction film, The Wandering Earth 2. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. The United Nations, now known as the United Earth Government, UEG, decides to move forward with the Moving Mountain Project, a plan to construct 10,000 enormous nuclear fusion engines that could launch the Earth out of the solar system and toward another habitable star system, as the Sun turns into an expanding red giant and poses a threat to engulf the Earth in 100 years. In order to reduce the Moon's gravitational pull on Earth, a sibling project called the Lunar Exile Project was also started. Its goal is to push the Moon away from the Earth using 3 such fusion engines. Thus, despite popular skepticism and increasingly violent demonstrations, the UEG shuts down and outlaws the Digital Life Project, DLP, which advocates maintaining human civilization through the development of mind-uploading technologies. The initial stage of the Moving Mountain Project involves the operation of 2 such fusion engines, one of which is one of the 3 lunar exile engines situated close to a research facility in the Campanus crater of the Moon and the other close to the Gabonese city of Libreville's space elevator. But while the engines were being built, a series of terrorist attacks by heavily armed DLP supporters on the UEG facilities in 2044 led to a coordinated drone attack on the space elevator, where highly trained infiltrators hacked the elevator vehicles in order to destroy the Ark space station, which supplied the lunar operation. Liu Peiqiang, a UEG trainee astronaut, and his other students are able to overpower the hijackers on their vehicles, but not before the hijackers detonated one elevator with a missile that went around the cargo bay using fake passes. As a result, the Ark space station and the top of the space elevator sustain severe damage and fall to Earth. Due to this attack, many nations involved in the pilot program withdrew, leaving just China to continue building the lunar and Earth engine. Zhu Hengyu, a computer engineer who is a member of the Lunar Exile pilot program, was awakened from hibernation in the meantime on the Moon to receive a shipment of supplies, one of which is a 550C, the newest quantum computer in the 550 series, which will be used to test the lunar engine. Zhu Hengyu observes a simulation of his daughter Tu Yaya, who had passed away in a vehicle accident 5 years earlier, on a 550A that appears to be his. Before the DLP was made illegal, Zhu Hengyu was able to record his daughter's awareness and store it on a hard drive with the help of his mentor and project leader Ma Zhao. The hardware limitations of the 550A, however, only allow Yaya's digital consciousness to last for 2 minutes before rebooting. Zhu Hengyu attempted to use the more recent 550C for this, but Ma Zhao flatly refused. A severe solar storm destroyed the 550C during shipment, and Zhu Hengyu suggested using his 550A for the testing at a conference with the other scientists who had been present. In exchange, Tu requested Ma Zhao include him in the 550 series future advances so that he could offer Yaya a complete life if the opportunity arose. The UEG grants the Moving Mountain Project full approval after the lunar and following Earth engines underwent successful test runs. Over 7,000 engines were constructed at and north of the equator over the course of the following 14 years, with those at the equator being torque engines that halt the rotation of the Earth. In addition, underground towns were constructed beneath each engine to house common people throughout the ensuing 2,500-year interplanetary journey. However, a sortition scheme limited the number of people who could enter the underground cities to 50% of the world's population. Meanwhile, Liu Peiqiang weds her workmate Han Duo, with whom she later has a son named Liu Qi. The 3 finished lunar engines begin to move the Moon away from Earth, officially renaming the Moving Mountain Project to the Wandering Earth Project. At the same time, the Lunar Exile Project is fully operational. Peaks in solar radiation show that the solar crisis is approaching faster and faster. Han Duo was one of the many people who developed cancer as a result of the radiation. Another piece of terrible news was that only their son Liu Qi is allowed to travel with them because Liu Peiqiang was the only member of his family to be granted a place in the underground towns. In order to be a part of a preferential strategy that would provide Han Duo a place in the underground cities as well, Liu Peiqiang registers for work in the reconstructed space station in 2058, which has been given the new name the Navigator ISS. Liu Peiqiang becomes outraged by the 550 watts during an interview with the newest and most sophisticated 550 series version, the offline AI-equipped 550 watts, as it confirms his family-oriented goals of working on board the Navigator ISS. This is all part of a stress test tailored to each examinee. Being one of the examiners, Zhu Hengyu observes Liu Peiqiang's rage in action and has a flashback to the vehicle accident that claimed his daughter's life. The now elderly Zhu Hengyu, who hasn't seen his daughter in 14 years, decides to transfer Tu Yaya's recorded consciousness into the 550-watt supercomputer that's still maintained in the interview room after being moved there by Liu Peiqiang and feeling motivated by his outburst. The lunar engines overload and eventually explode right after this upload, sending the moon hurtling towards Earth. Due to the upload, Tu Hengyu had broken the law and was taken into custody right away. The UAG starts a backup plan to cope with the lunar fall crisis that entails setting off all of the Earth's nuclear weapons on a concentrated phased array on the Campanus crater, starting nuclear fusion inside the moon's core and causing the moon to implode. The 7,000 Earth engines will then be turned on to launch the Earth away from the lunar debris. However, because of how quickly the lunar fall catastrophe occurred, the dedicated control network for the Earth engines hasn't been finished. Consequently, a plan was started to revive the Internet, which had been long shut down, to use as a control network, via rebooting the Internet root server data centers located in Tokyo, Beijing, and Dulles. The Chinese government summoned up Tu Hengyu, who was serving a prison sentence, to work with his mentor Ma Zhao on a team to restart Beijing's root server. Due to the challenges in nuclear code decoding and the little time left before the moon exceeds the Roche limit and splits into pieces that will destroy the Earth, the counter for the lunar fall catastrophe is facing several obstacles. As a part of the mission detail to plant nuclear weapons on the moon, Liu Peiqiang narrowly escapes death when his team's spaceship collides with debris produced by the engine explosions. He discovers transportation at the deserted research base, along with a lander that he utilized to send the rest of his team back to the Navigator ISS while he transported the nukes assigned to his team, much to their chagrin. A standstill in the decryption of the code forces 300 astronauts over the age of 50 to give their lives voluntarily in order to manually detonate the nuclear weapons. Liu barely makes it through the nuclear explosion and is able to pilot a capsule back to the Navigator ISS. At this point, moon debris had already begun to impact Earth. One of these pieces struck Beijing's data center directly, filling the interior and drowning Ma Zhao. Tu Hengyu uploads a copy of his own recorded consciousness onto the network after realizing he won't have much time before drowning as well. When he reunites with Tu Yaya, his digital self is able to restart the final internet server in time, turning on all of the Earth's engines and propelling the planet out of the path of the lunar debris. The Wandering Earth project then launches in earnest along the Earth's path to Jupiter. Tu's digital self is addressed by the 550 watts artificial intelligence, who is now known as MOS, 550 watts upside down, in a scene at the middle of the credits. The now sentient supercomputer confesses that it is responsible for causing all previous crises that have interfered with humanity's attempts to save itself and that it will also cause a great deal more in the future. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.